If you're under 22 years old and you're looking at starting a business, here's why most young people fail their first business. When people get into their first business, they're looking at it. The attractive business models are kind of drop shipping, stock trading, crypto, forex, all that stuff. And a lot of it is made from people where they're trying to show off quick money, where push a few buttons and you're rich. And the problem with that is when you get into a business model where you have these expectations that are setting them up for failure because within a few months or 6 months or whatever, they're supposedly going to be rich and then they don't hit that and they've lost money. People quit because why? Because they had this expectation, they're nowhere near it, they're actually the opposite from it, and then they quit and they go back to whatever they were doing. And the problem with that isn't that you made a mistake, is that, well, you listened to the wrong people, but you didn't intentionally make a mistake or sabotage yourself. You were sabotaged from the beginning because you listened to the wrong people and chose the wrong route. So I've tried 7 different businesses in total and currently running a video editing agency for the last 3 years now. Been full-time for the last 3 years or so. But before that, tried so many other models, and I didn't make my first profitable dollar until 3 years ago on the 7th business model. And I'm so incredibly glad I pushed through, because I would be nowhere near where I am now. At the time, I was scrubbing dishes, trying to make some money to fund my business. And if I stopped then who knows where I'd be. Basically, at the time, I think it was the 5th business model I tried, I bought the social media management course agency thing. And then my expectation going into that was that within 6 months, I'm going to be at the 10K a month mark. And for some people, that's more than reasonable. That's more than doable. But for myself, where I had no skills, I had very little money to invest in, but a lot of time, I was kind of stuck because I was looking at a lot of people that joined the program, and there were people doing well, but the people that joined the program that instantly started signing clients, and I was thinking, well, what's wrong with me? Like, what's the difference? We're in the same boat. We're doing the same thing. Why is yours working and mine's not? And at the time, I wasn't thinking about why that wasn't happening. But the reason why they were able to do well is because they would have been on their maybe 5th business model, or they've been working in marketing for 5 years already. And it's about the experience that they had that allowed them to go to the next level. But then for someone like myself, where you're starting on ground zero with no experience, no skills, it's not going to happen. Like it's like a muscle. You have to develop it and actually get stronger in order to develop. You can't just like for the gym. You can't just start the gym and suddenly you're Ronnie Coleman. Do you know what I mean? You have to spend a lot of time and effort to develop it. And also, if you think about those business models where people are kind of showing the Rolexes and waving cash around and all that shit, if you think about it, if it was so easy, why would everyone not do it? It's not because nobody knows about it. It's because it's not true, or it's not what they're making it out to be. Yes, people do well from those business models, but you have to look at it. Where are they making their money from? Are they making their money from doing what they're doing, or is it from course trading or course selling? Because, for example, the traders, a lot of them, why would you not just put all of your money into the trades that you're doing and do that rather than telling people to copy your trades? Makes no sense, because you could make so much more money because it just compounds. You just add more and more because you make more and more because your trades and calls are so good. So yeah, you have to actually just think about it and not just follow kind of the fancy object. You have to go into it with the goal in mind that I could try this for 5 years, and then if I don't see a result by then, if I have not seen any progress by then there's probably a problem with you. But I don't think anyone would actually do that. And no one would do 5 years and see no progress. So you have to, what I'm saying is you have to play the long game. You can't just spend a few months or even a year just being like, okay, I'm going to dedicate this time, and then if I'm not rich by that, I'm going to quit. Because if you do quit, what's the other option? You what? Do what everyone else is doing. You get a job, go to uni, whatever. So is it that risky? No. Look, moral of the story, pick a skill or something that actually seems real and that you can actually develop and doesn't seem too good to be true, and just dump all your time into that. Just focus on growing and developing the skill, because at the end of the day, you're paid for what you're worth and you're paid for your skills. If your skills are worthless or minimum wage, you're going to get paid minimum wage. What do you expect? So yeah, don't do what I did and bounced around from business model to business model, wondering why nothing's working. Actually spend your time on one and just develop the skills. And then if it's not working and you've actually, like, you'll know if you've actually given it a good go, and you're kind of like, it just doesn't make sense. It's like if you're putting all in your time into the newspaper business, it's a dying industry. So it obviously doesn't make sense. But if you can at least develop the skill of maybe printing, for example, the news industry, or even journalism and things like that, you can take that skill into the next industry or the next business. So rather than doing what I did, I bounced around from business to business and didn't really learn much, which was the problem. Spend a few months, didn't work apparently, and then I'd move on. So spend the time, develop the skill, and yeah, appreciate you watching and have a good one.